and you mix it with 8 parts of liquid. Now on here it says water.
Okay.
So if I took a cup of soup, which is easy, and mixed it with 8 cups of water, and put it on the stove or in my crock pot for 8 hours, or 2 to 3 hours, which is how long it takes, 2 to 3 hours, I'd have this wonderful soup in 2 to 3 hours. It's soup. It's actually soup, like you see here. But that's not how I make it. Are you surprised?
Well, no, go ahead. And I had another question. We were talking before. I like it a little thicker.
This is the answer.
All right. Okay, that's the answer for the question.
It's how I do it.
All right.
What I do is, rather than adding all that water up front,
Yeah.
I cut the water in half. And I actually do use water.
Oh, yeah.
So let's say I use 1 part, whatever it is, a cup, whatever you want to use, and 4 parts,
4 parts.
water.
All right.
I put it in my crock pot because it's easier for me
Yeah.
for 3 hours. So it goes for 3 hours. You can put it on the stove for, like I said, between 2 and 3 hours, and it'll be cooked. But you want to stir it every now and then. Make sure it's absorbing the water. You may have to add a little water.
Yeah.
But what I end up getting when I take it out of the crock pot is something that looks like that
Yeah.
in the spoon. I don't have really any liquid left. It's like when you do rice, it all absorbs. So at that point is when I add my flavor broth. Rather than cooking it in the broth and spending all that broth on the whole,
Yeah.
now I'm going to add some broth, the other 4 parts.
What kind of broth?
Chicken broth, beef broth, whatever it is I'm going to do.
All right.
In this particular case, it's the no chicken vegetarian broth. So then I add the broth according to what I'm doing. So let's say I'm going to make a nice thick soup. I might add those 4 parts broth, and I get something that's like this. And then, because I'm a meat eater, I'm going to probably add some ham, some chunked up ham, or maybe if I have some leftover steak around, I might cube up the steak
Yeah.
and throw that in there. And I use a beef broth then. But I'd add as much broth as I want it to be thick. So it's almost more like what my mother calls stoop, which is soup.
Sounds good.
So it's kind of soup, but it's because it's got liquid, but it's kind of stew because it's really thick. And you can add more. You can add croutons. You can add barley. If you do something like barley, though, you want to make sure you only add a little bit. Because barley goes a long way.
All right,
You could add some rice. You could add pasta.